Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another adventure here on Orpheus Plays. We're in the ruins today here on Blade and Sorcery, and we're in survival mode, which means 3 weapons will come out, and I destroy everything that comes out of these doors and windows and wherever they come out of. And today I want to talk about something from my past that is interesting. I drowned twice throughout my life, and I'm going to tell you about those experiences today as we get going here. I hope you are doing well wherever it is today, day or night. And let's see what we've got here. We have a good old battle axe. We've got an Orleans battle axe. Okay, a little bit of cayenne pepper on that one, and a spiked ball mace. God, that looks just awful. You know what? Let's try that. Let's go with that. All right, so it is another good day for murder here in Blade and Sorcery. Another great day for an adventure. And let's get going with our first traditional slow motion kill of the day. Come here, I want to kill you. Come here. Arnold wants to grab you by the throat and just, do all sorts of nasty stuff to you. Let's put these spikes. He's like, no. Oh, God. Oh, God. Is he gone? He's gone, ladies and gentlemen. Hooray! Oh, so now, lovely. With that out of the way, let's get to our topic today. Now, I think of all the ways to die that are, up there with being awful, drowning. Drowning is pretty bad. You ever played that game, Would You Rather? It's like, would you rather slide down a razor blade and then into a pool of lemon juice, or would you get mauled by a bear? That kind of thing. So one of the ones that has come up before, like, would you rather drown or be, like, electrocuted or something like that? And I think I would rather be electrocuted, because my rationale is this. I have drowned now twice in my... Oh, he hit himself in the face. Nice. I have drowned now twice in my life, and it was probably the most awful experiences that I could have had. At least one of the times. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so drowning. Boy, I don't know if you're one of those people that has one of those... what is that called? Thalassophobia, I think is what it is. It's the fear of, like, what could be in deep water. Well, I have that kind of, and I think I've developed it. Hello. I've developed it over the years because I used to live on a lake, and we used to spend a lot of times on lakes. And I've said before... I gotta use this thing, it's not fair. I've said before that I grew up in Michigan, and one of the places that we used to go quite a bit was on Lake Huron, which is one of the Great Lakes. There are several Great Lakes, and there are surrounding Michigan. You probably know that already if you know where the hand is, right? Michigan right there, surrounded by Great Lakes all the way around it. And Lake Huron is one of the bigger ones, and we used to spend a lot of time on that. And I swam all the time, went jet skiing and boating and all that stuff. And I never really thought, like, this is some deep, scary, cold water, right? Like... That terrifies me. We spent a lot of time, like, swimming in the ocean when I was growing up. That's some deep, scary, cold water right there. And it's like, Florida, where we spent a lot of the time, where swam in the good old Atlantic. I've swam in the Pacific, right, as well. And, like, looking back on it, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with those memories, right? And so, like, now I think about it, and I don't want to be in lakes anymore. Grew up on a smaller lake as well, and used to swim in smaller lakes all over Michigan, and, like, the ones that are, like, filled with, like, just algae and kelp and stuff. Like, there's a specific smell and taste that go with lake water. I don't know if you're familiar with this. You ever swam in a lake? Like, right at the edge, and as you're going in, there's that specific, like, smell and taste. It's really hard to describe, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so it's that kind of I'm very uncomfortable with the idea of swimming in any sort of anything that's like a lake or an ocean or something like that. Now, rivers, I don't have a problem with rivers. You can see the bottom. You can see if there's fish near you. You know, there's no approaching you from 20 feet down if you're in a river, unless it's, you know, like a really deep one or something. Take that right in the hip, lady. Right in the face. Can I get her? Epic. Oh, yes. Is she gonna stay? Nope. Hey. That's enough out of you, bro. Come here. And so I try to avoid anything deep for a long period of time. And obviously, you know, you're like, well, swimming pools and stuff. Yeah, well, here's where we get to the meat of the story, as it were. Ew. Let's just take this over here and use it. Come on now. Come here. You're dead. Oh, nice block there, Orpheus. Anyway, so I used to be a swimmer. I used to be on lots of swim teams. I was on the Junior Olympic swim team at one point. Yeah, don't get me started on that. That's going to be a whole different episode where I talk about that. I'll briefly touch on it now. So I was growing up. My parents belonged to a club. Oh yes, Buffy, a country club, as it were. And the Association of Country Clubs had a swimming team league. And they would all get together, and we would, you know, compete against each other in swim meets, as they're called. If you're not familiar with the, oh god, that is absolutely horrendous. If you are not familiar with the whole swim meet culture, it's, you know, a bunch of people get together and they have competitions where they swim different lengths of the pool. Like you've seen a pool, right? Or an Olympic-sized pool. You've probably seen swim meets or something, swim match in like the Olympics or something. Well, they have those in like between different clubs, and they're not all country clubs. Some of them are just exclusively swimming clubs. And, you know, get together and compete. And it's really fun because it's a chance for a bunch of kids to get together and socialize. And you had a little dance afterwards, you know, after these things. And it was a place where, you know, you learned how to get along with other people, and you learned that awkwardness that came along with like the proto dating before you got going. Anyway, I'd go to a lot of swim meets, and so consequently I spent a lot of time swimming in the pools. Well, ew, did I get you? Nope. Now I did. So, I would spend a lot of times like practicing and just hanging out at the side of the pool at the club that we were at. And so, oh God, is she dead? God, hopefully. Anyway, so one day I was, how old was I? I had to be like 9 or 10. Anyway, I'll get back to the Olympic swim team thing in a minute because it has to do with a big part of the story. But let me tell you about the first time that I drowned, and I had to be 11 or 12. That period of my life, by the way, from like 9 to 13 was absolutely awful. Like, most of the stuff that happened to me in my life happened to me between those ages. Like, oh God. Anyway, so I had to be like, I don't know, 10, 11, somewhere in there. And I was swimming in the pool. I was swimming in the deep end, as it were, where they had the diving boards and everything. We used to have the high diving board, which was, you know, they have similar stuff at some public pools these days, but it's more of a platform thing, and you got to like be all careful and everything. Back then, we didn't care. If you could make it up the ladder, you were allowed to go on that high dive board. And it was a good 20 feet off the water. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so, you know, I'm just messing around in the deep end, you know, just swimming around and everything and and enjoying myself. And there was this other kid, and I'd never met this kid before. I had no idea who he was. Ooh, the Spike de Baseber. Spiked holy water sprinkler. Okay, we gotta have that. I bless you. Ooh. Anyway, so I'm swimming around in the deep end, and if you know how pools work, they've got like the deep part, right? And then you've got these like metal ladders that come out. Oh, is he gonna get it? Is he gonna get it? Disarmed, sir. But they've got these metal ladders that come up from the sides to go out of the pool. And most pools have these things. Some of them have like the steps or a slope to walk into, but most of them have these ladders. And so, and so these ladders, they go into the pool, and in the deep ends of these pools, they go down about like 5 feet, somewhere in there, 3 to 5 feet. And so what I used to do is I would get deep in the pool, and then I would swim up, right? And so it would be the side of the pool, let's say, is right here, and I would swim up to that ladder, right? And then I would grab onto the ladder and climb my way up out of the pool. Okay. So now that you got that in your head. So what I would do is do that as much as off, because you like when you're in the water and you're like a water creature. You're like, swimming around and everything, right? And that's what I was doing that day. And there was a kid that I'd never met before who was on that ladder. It looked like, to me coming up from underneath it, it looked like he was getting out of the pool. So what he did is, as I swam up, he grabbed my hands. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. You need to be not alive for this experiment. So he grabbed onto my hands as I was coming up the ladder. So he grabbed onto me and he stood on my shoulders, and he pulled tension on my shoulders. So I was up and he was standing there on me, holding me under the water on the ladder. And the only thing that I remember is struggling for a little bit, and there being some pain. There's a point where your body instinctually decides that it's time to breathe, whether or not what's going on with your body, and it does not have to do with the lack of oxygen. One of the things that you learn pretty quick when you do something like scuba diving or swimming or something is that it doesn't have much to do with the actual oxygen in your body. You can go without oxygen and produce the energy you need through something called an anaerobic process. I don't remember what the other word is, but it's anaerobic without oxygen is what that means. And so you can burn oxygen from your cells and other things, other processes in those cells just for a brief period of time, okay? It's not like it's the way you live. As a matter of fact, it's not very good for you at all. But you can do it. The problem is carbon dioxide. So as carbon dioxide builds up in your system, your body starts to freak out because it can't do that. It makes everything very toxic, very quickly. And so what your body does is it decides there's a certain point where, you're going to breathe out that carbon dioxide. And so that's when you breathe out. Well, that gives you a temporary feeling of okay, but then as soon as you get that breath out, your body is now struggling to figure out why you don't have that oxygen anymore. And at a certain point, it just becomes an instinct. You breathe in. And I remember that struggle, man, that was rough. That struggle of I was there, he's holding on to me, he's got his hands on my shoulders. There you go, that's for you. And he was holding on as hard as he could, and there it was. I breathed in, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain what breathing in water is like. It's thick, okay? Obviously, it's thick, and so when you breathe it in the first time, your lungs really, really hurt. And then your first instinct after you breathed in the water is to breathe it back out, and so that makes it worse. So you and get it all out, and then your body instinctually tries to say, okay, well, now there's oxygen again. So it goes in for another hit of the water. And then everything just kind of went dark. Like everything had just kind of faded into gray. And I remember waking up on the side of the pool. Someone was performing mouth to mouth. That's, you know, if you want an awkward encounter at the same time that it's a very mixed feelings, right? Get yourself drowned and wake up to mouth resuscitation because you don't usually know that person. I don't remember who it was. If it was a guy or a gal or whoever, I do not remember who they were. I just remember waking up with someone with their lips on mine, and you know, as a young man, that was quite interesting for me to go through. But I remember waking up and coughing out all that water, and it was scary because I have a big problem, and I've addressed this in another video. I have a big problem with losing time. Okay. So one of the things that I deal with my brain trauma and the other cognitive issues that I've been having lately, and for about a decade now, is I lose time, right? It'll be like one day I'll suddenly go, you know, what day is it? And my wife will go, oh, it's Thursday. And I go, what? It was Monday. Like, what? And I know a lot of you have that, like, where did the week go? No, seriously, like, for me, I don't remember what I did between, you know, Monday and Thursday. And just, it freaks me out. But especially what freaks me out about that is the, like, when I go into surgery. I've gone into surgery twice in my life now. Once for tonsils and adenoids, and they put tubes in my ears. And then once when I had my appendectomy just recently, in the last year. Now, the part that freaked me out so much about those is I'm just unplugged for whatever period of time. Where is my next victim? Hello? There you are. There you are. I'm just unplugged for that period of time where, you know, you're under the anesthesia. Come here. RoboCop says sit. But you're unplugged for that time, you know, when you're under the anesthesia, and that really, really freaks me out. I don't know why. It just tends to do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're the same way, but that's what freaked me out about the drowning. Is it wasn't the pain. It wasn't like knowing that I was dead or anything like that, because, you know, you are at that point. You may not be brain dead, but you are definitely not there. And it just freaked me out that there was a gap in the time that I remembered that I was there, right? So, never found out who the kid was. He drowned me and got away, because the thing about it was the way that he was holding me was underwater, right? So no one else could see him doing this. To everybody else, it looked like he was just standing on the ladder with his arms in the water. So, that was the first time that I ever drowned. That was terrifying, and I do not recommend it. The second time was a little bit more interesting because... okay, so now we come back to me being on the Junior Olympic swim team. I was involved in a lot of things, like, you know, everywhere that I could swim, I was swimming year-round. So, during the winter, it was in something called, I think, AAU, I think. And then during the summertime, it was, you know, the swim teams that everybody was in, and then just like in between those two seasons, I would go and do other, you know, small swim matches and practice with the Junior Olympic swim team, and boy, that was fun. It's interesting when you get to like the top of some athletes. Top athletes are interesting people. You probably have learned that by now. They can be a little strange. Or anyone that is the top of something is usually a little eccentric, right? And so I was doing swimming all the time, and this was a swim meet that was with my high school. So I was swimming with my school. We were at our home swimming team, like swim pool. What am I? My brain is just all over the place on this. Anyway, why is it passing through them? That's no fun. Anyway, so we were at our home pool, and we were swimming along, and it was one where Okay, so we're going to get into some swim terminology. There are 4 different types of swimming strokes that are official in the, for swim teams. There's freestyle. Freestyle, which is overhead like this. You're swimming with your head in the water, okay? And then you take breaths like that. There is breaststroke, which is the one that's like this, okay? So you see people popping up out of the water while they're doing this. There's butterfly, which is... I just hit something in my room. There's butterfly, which is overhead, right? You're coming up out of the water like a stingray. And then there's backstroke, which is pretty self-explanatory, right? Okay, so there will be either events where there's individual strokes like that. So you'll have like well, okay, so let me explain a little bit of how the terminology goes this way. So 1 lap of the pool is called a 25, because I think it's 25 meters or 25 yards. Anyway, it's called a 25, right? And so you go up by multiples of 25 for how long the event is. So you can have 1,000 relay. So you have 4 people that get together and you have a relay. Each of them does, a certain amount. 250, which is what? How many laps? I forget. Anyway, so those are the longer ones. There are also individual medleys, which are where you go and you do all 4 of the strokes. Oh, come on. It's going right through them. That's not fair, guys. I have to hit it, but they don't. Get out of here with that. Anyway, so there's one called the 200 IM, which is 2 laps of each of the different 4 strokes, and so you get what is it? 8 lap, 2, 4, 6, 8. Anyway, so I normally only did freestyle and backstroke. Those were my things. I was very good at backstroke, and I was one of the record holders in the state of Michigan for a little bit. Not like the top, but I was one of the record holders for quite a bit on the 50 freestyle, which again, 2 laps. And there you go. I was wondering when he was going to die. And so I was rather good, but I didn't do the other strokes in competition. I did them obviously in practice because we had to, but I never really did them in competition. And I had already done 3 events. I think I had done like 100 freestyle and like a 50 backstroke and something like that. And it's very taxing. So like you have to take a lot of time in between the events to just kind of chill out and recuperate, right? So there I was. I had already done like 3 or 4 events that day, and the person that was supposed to do the 200 IM was sick that day and didn't come in. Well, we didn't have anyone to do it, and it was a pretty important event, and so they said, "Hey, Orpheus." Wow, that's funny. I almost just said my name. Oh boy, I almost said, hey, let's see. That would have been bad. Anyway, good thing I don't do these live. By the way, I do occasionally stream on Twitch. You can find me there at Orpheus Plays. Just kind of keep an eye out for it. Turn on notifications if you really want to know. I just kind of pop on and pop off. Anyway, so I had to do the 200 IM. And that was... it's 8 laps, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, and it's 2 laps of each one. Well, I'm swimming my ass off against some of the better people in the state, and so I'm deciding I'm gonna give it my all. So I get through 6 laps of it, and on my 7th lap, I just apparently passed out in the water, and I went, bruh, hey, bruh, man, they're really getting on me today. And so I just apparently passed out in the water and sank right to the bottom of the pool, like while I was mid-stroke. I think it was butterfly, because I went up, and I just kind of passed out and went right to the bottom of the pool. And so they had to jump in and pull me out by the back of my Speedo. Now, if you don't know what a Speedo is, it's a very tiny swimsuit for guys. They're very small. Let's just put it that way. they're known for, like, European guys like to wear them on the beaches, and usually they're guys that weigh, like, 350 pounds and decide that they want to show off the old banana hammock. Anyway, so they had to pull me out by my Speedo and the front of my forehead and put me up on the deck of the pool, and then they started to do CPR again, except this time it was my coach. Now, the funny thing is, like, I thought my coach was kind of cute. we had a nice young lady as our coach, one of the teachers. I think she was a science teacher, and I thought she was kind of hot to begin with, and so was, again, it's that mixed thing where, like, oh my god, I just drowned, but oh my god, it's someone, giving me mouth to mouth that I think is kind of cute. Anyway, so that one actually wasn't bad. I don't remember passing out underwater and drowning, so I guess that wasn't too bad. I did remember as soon as they woke me up, I went and I threw up all of the water into a water fountain. There was, like, those water fountains that are mounted on the wall, those things in schools and stuff. Yeah, I threw up directly into one of those. So, anyway, those are my stories about drowning. Hey, have you ever drowned? Let me know. I've now died twice in my life, for real. Anyway, if you ever had an experience like that, let me know in the comments below. Do you have something called thalassophobia? I think I'm saying that right. I think it's the right word. The fear of deep water and of places like that. Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Be good, do good, and treat yourself well, because you deserve it, and we'll see you next time. Bye!